Hi everyone, this is Mohammed Yods, and I'm back again with Capital English Language School. It has been a long time since we actually posted anything on this channel, so I would like to get a little rundown on things before we start the lesson. So, first of all, as you can see, I got leukemia and went bald, which is pretty sad, but it is not important. I've also passed an international English exam called IELTS. So now our knowledge is actually backed up by academia, and we're not just a random course from internet. I've also been out of depression for a month, and have met the love of my life, which does not respond to my texts. And as we promised, this lesson will be about modal verbs. So let's get on going.
Now we start our lesson on the modal verbs, and you can see this weird mathematical symbols in front of you, and you may ask yourself, what are this and why am I showing this to you? Well, basically, this is a subject of mathematics called the modal logic, and I think it will be good for us before we speak about modal verbs, we should speak about modality itself. And so, what is modality? Uh, Modal logic studies reasoning that involves the use of expressions necessarily and possibly. So, necessity and possibilities are modalities. So, look, for example, we have some sentence P in the line B. We have some sentence P, and so yeah, there was some sentence P which I did terribly. Doesn't matter. Then it translates to something. It still has P, but there is also a square and a rectangle. And this square and this rectangle is modality, and they express necessity and possibility. So it may sound weird, but I will get to explanation in a second. So basically, modal verbs are a category of auxiliary verbs, which means they are the verbs that help forming a sentence. If you take a lot of auxiliary verbs, you cannot form anything that will have meaning by itself, because they're there only to help. And basically, these auxiliary verbs they are added to give more texture to the sentence. So, as you can see, we have, as I described earlier. So, modality is basically this. It's some verb that expresses possibility or necessity. Then you add it to some verb and you get a sentence. For example, if you have seen the Nike's advertisement, the most popular one, it said they say you must do it. So must is the modal verb that express necessity, and do is just some verb and then the rest of the sentence. So um, before we start getting to some concrete examples, we should actually look what modal verbs are there. And as you can see, there's can, could, may, might, must, shall, should, will, and would. So what we're going to do in this lesson is I'm going to give you a quick understanding of when you use these verbs, and then we're going to solve a few problems because the definitions that are given when you use can and could, they're really hard to learn, and it is actually easier to understand on examples. So let's give it a try. So the first modal verbs are can and could. So when you say can, you express a ability or possibility. For example, I can get kicked out of university in a few days. You can also express an ability and possibility. And by can, you can ask for permission, which you will see you can do with many verbs. But there is a difference in tone between them. So, for example, can I cook dinner tonight? You may ask that. Or request, can you help me? So, could. And remember, I told you about uh, making a request or asking for permission. Could will be like can, but more formal, like more refined, better. I think it is better. You can also use it as a suggestion or predict a future possibility. So yeah. Um, oh. The next one is may and might. Uh, Basically, may have some resemblance with could, and you can you can mix them sometimes and get a mistake. But basically, you also use may when you ask for permission, and it is also a more formal way to ask. So like, may I have something? Like, may I go out, or may I become a billionaire? I don't know. Maybe you can't. Uh, you can also express a future possibility, and when you say may, it's like 50-50. So China may become an economic power. So you say may, you put your odds on it. It's like, it may happen, may not happen. And the next is might. So remember when I said China may, you say like 50-50. When you say might, there is a small given percentage that something might happen. So it's like you have more doubt when you express that. And also you can express present possibility with it. Alright, I'm sorry, my thing broke. So the most important modal verbs are must and ought to. Must is a fundamental modal verb which expresses necessity. You must go to school, you must go to university, you must get a job, you must get a credit, you must. It's always there and it is mostly used. So remember, must, it is always there for necessity obligation. It is really, really hard to mistake it by something else. And if the positive form of must express necessity, then the negative must not will describe prohibition. There's also ought to, and when you say ought to, it means that you're talking about something that is right on the word, like in the world. So, for example, when knights used to pledge to the kings, they ought to the kings. So something that is like hard as steel and is right. So, for example, you ought to. I don't really know what you are ought to, but let's say, for example, you are ought to pray to God. So, let's get going. There's also will and would, and they describe instant decisions, offer promises, certain predictions, and just something when you talk about the future. Remember when we were talking about may and might? If you say might is a small percentage, may is like 50-50, will is 100%. Like something will happen means it will happen 100%. So yeah, and when you speak about would is like could, but and may you can use it as could and may for asking for permission, and it will be like also a more formal way to say it. You can also make requests and invitations with it. Yeah. So basically, there is this scary slide called range of forms. Do not worry because do not look at modal simple. It's not like a different range of form. You just take present simple and add a verb to it. Because a modal verb is a verb and it uses the same structure and the same number of rules is applied to modal verbs as to regular verbs. So, and once you got all this information in your head, let's go and do some exercises. Right, so let's get some examples done. You really must not be late again. So we only have two choices: must not and don't have to. And let's see what's different about these choices. When you say must, it's an obligation. It's something that should be done. And when you say don't have to, it's like you can do it, but you can also not do it. Like it decides on you. When you say must, it's a concrete rule. There is no other way. So you really must not be late again. is the right answer here, because when you ask a person for to follow some rules, there is only one a certain set of rules, and you have to apply to them. So there is must, so you must apply to them, not don't have to. There is no place for you to make up your mind. So must not. Let's go. Ew. The test starts at 10:30. You mustn't be late. The same thing here. So the test starts at 10:30. If you come later, you cannot go to the test. So you must follow a certain rule. So you're obliged to follow rules. So must not. Prohibition. Same thing. May you open the window, please? And can you open the window? Really, you can use in can and may if you are speaking to just to an English speaker. You can say can and you can say may, but may would be more appropriate. It will be more gentle, I would say, and it would show that you have воспитание. Alright, so may you open the window, please? And can you open the window? Uh, it would seem that may can be used here because you ask like with a good manner. May you open the window? But the right answer here is actually can, because you ask someone to do an action. So can he do this action? May is like it's like more more gentle thing, I would say. I was using my pencil a minute ago. It could be here somewhere. Oh, we're just getting the right answer, I think. So let's see. It can be here somewhere. No, not really. Because we use can and could in pairs. Could also describes a future possibility. So, like it could be here. Like I could find it soon. Uh, but as we can see, the sentence is very. Alright, so let's check it. Check it, boom. I was using my pencil a minute ago. It can be here somewhere. I mean, you could say it can be here somewhere, but if you use it this way, it will be better for you to say could. It could be here somewhere. Uh, so you express a future possibility. But as you can see, the sentence itself is very expressive. It's screaming to us. So the guy says his pencil was a minute. His pencil. He used his pencil a minute ago. So his pencil cannot be far away from here. So it must be close to him. So must is the right answer here. All right. Um, am I allowed to take a photograph with you? Am I allowed to? Is not a modal verb, so yeah, this is a very bad question. But it is also a more realistic one. So may I is always used in a to show like it's a more manner way to ask. It's like a better manner to ask. So imagine you meet someone on the street. You don't just come up to him and say, "Can I take a photo of you?" It will be better and more gentle to ask them, "May I take a photo of you?" And let's check the next one. Entrance to museum was free. We needn't pay to get in. Blood. I don't think that this needs any explanations. There is not such word as needn't. Alright, let's go further. He mustn't broken the classroom window. He wasn't even in school today. Alright, so what does the sentence tell us? It tells that someone wasn't in school today. So there is no way that that guy broke the window. So let us see what is more appropriate here. So mustn't. It tells you that mustn't is used as a prohibition, so we're not prohibiting him to break in the window. Let's check around couldn't and shouldn't. Couldn't and shouldn't usually goes in a pair, and when you say could and should, could is possibility and should is necessity. So when you say he shouldn't have broken a window, you say that like the how do I say this? Basically, it's couldn't. You know, his parents spoil him. He's always been allowed to do whatever he wants. He's always been able or been allowed. Well, this is not really a modal verb, but if you check able to, allowed to, we're talking about his parents, so yeah, parents allow him to do something, so it's been allowed to. Not really mobile verb though, mobile. If you don't start working harder, you have to repeat the course next year. I guess all of this actually work out in the sense, but will have to and have to are better because they're talking about future. So if you don't start working harder, the next year you will have to repeat it. So we'll have to. And I think this is all for today. I will leave a link to this site so you can go on and practice. As again, you can check our presentation and get some interesting things from there. And I will see you in around a week. The next lesson will be in passive voice. Bye.